Starting. All right, welcome everybody. I'm Cindy Myers, and tonight we are doing an animal and emotions webinar. And tonight's topic is going to be a little different because this topic's been coming up a lot lately of people wanting to learn some really simple techniques of how to connect and communicate with their animals. So I thought I would share just a real quick, simple technique and tool that I start everybody with, and it's in my book, 5 Steps to Animal Communication, which if you want to learn more about that, you can go on my website. There's a link to Amazon, or you can go directly to Amazon for it. But it is where I start everybody on communicating with animals. So I thought that would be a fun topic for tonight. We usually talk about a lot of more serious anxiety and other heavier topics. And I thought, oh, let's do something a little more light tonight. But very useful and an important tool that can help you bond and be even more connected with your animals. But before we get going, if you're having a medical emergency with your pet, please call your veterinarian. But what I can do for you is to do energy support for your pet or yourself, which allows their natural healing abilities to work alongside what the vet is doing. And it can also support you while you're waiting to get into your vet. As that lag period, I know that right now it can be challenging to get vet appointments. So by just keeping their energy flowing, remove trapped emotions, we're giving your pet's body the optimum flow to to work in healing itself. And then the other thing is, if you do have an aggressive pet, then they do insist that you work with a certified and a trainer that's really specializes in aggressive behavior. It's really important to have a team approach on that. It's just not enough to just release the trapped emotions that cause the behavior in the first place. You want to do that, but you really then need to modify and teach the animal what you do want. How do they behave? Just expecting them to learn how to do that on their own is not realistic. And also when they get triggered, that would be their go-to response, is the aggressive behavior. So we need to reframe that, teach them how to do it, teach you how to catch it and what to do if they do get triggered. So that you need to get from a certified trainer. All right, so we'll go past what about me. Well, shoot. I hope we have the other thing. Anyway, before we get into the technique, we'll talk a little bit about trapped emotions and what causes some of the anxiety and issues. And I'm only including this in today just because this will lead to what you can ask your pets when I teach you the little technique on how to ask your pets questions. So, because our pets get trapped emotions just like we do, and a trapped emotion, we all have lots and lots of emotions all day long. So do your pets. They just don't have as wide a variety of emotions, but they have emotions. They feel joy, they feel sadness, they feel grief, they feel anxiety. We've all seen those emotions in our pets. So if they have too many emotions in a day, just like us, they can't burn them off. They're chemicals that our body creates to relate to those experiences. Our emotions are just chemicals that our body creates. And so if we can't, if we exceed what we can burn off in a day, those emotions have to go somewhere. Those chemicals have to go somewhere and in our body. So they get stuck in our tissues, just like food calories. If we exceed how many calories we can burn off in a day, those calories get stuck in our body. So it's true with emotions. And our bodies and the animals' bodies can tolerate so many emotions without it causing a behavioral problem or a physical problem. And that's is where that threshold comes that I talk about often, is when we build up too many trapped emotions, we exceed that threshold and it has to come out somehow. So it comes out either in a physical problem and it can be both, a behavioral problem. So they start having accidents in the house, the aggression issue, and habits are created out of that as well, which becomes the aggressive issue. It becomes a habit then, or the potty thing that worked for him to get the attention that said, I'm upset about something, and you're not listening to me, and so I'm going to piddle on your shoe. Now, do you hear me? So that gets your attention. It's a negative attention, but it's still getting your attention. So that will lead into how to ask questions. So hang on to that thought of what that threshold is that your pet is trying to get your attention. Because with this tool will allow you to ask them simple questions. So we're going to talk about a muscle test. And I encourage you to go good old YouTube if you don't know how to do a muscle test, especially the sway test. I like to use the sway test with working with animals because they aren't very good about holding out their leg or and doing an arm kind of muscle test, which is one that humans do. If you ever gone to a chiropractor, they quite often will use a muscle test of some sort, but that doesn't work. So I like to use a sway test, which is where you just stand up and bend your knees a little bit, don't lock your knees. So you just have a nice little bend, get grounded, breathe. It's really important to breathe fully, slow your breathing down. And then you can just, way I connect to a pet is just say their name in my mind a few times and I'll feel my body move forward. Or I can ask, have I connected to you? So in this picture, it's my barn cat, Raffy. So I would say his name in my head a few times and I'll feel my body moves forward. So a yes answer is say, have I connected with you? I'm looking for a yes or no. If the answer is yes, I'm going to sway forward and my body's going to rock forward. I'll feel it on the balls of my, as I go onto my toes, the ball of my foot. If the answer is no, I haven't connected, then I will move backwards. So no is I sway backwards. Yes is moving forward. Uh, so you, and it's just that simple. It's not hard at all to do that. If there's more than one of you, if you do prefer to use the muscle test where you use your arm, you can have a person, or you could be touching your pet. I don't know that one word. If you would need another person, and they could be touching your pet if the pet will allow it, and then you do the arm muscle test with them. So it's kind of, I don't know if you know about that chain reaction. If somebody's got their hand on the electric fence and holding somebody else's hand, the one that gets zapped is the one on the end. It's kind of the same philosophy. You're connected. The person that's touching, say it's your spouse, is touching your dog, and then you're using your spouse's arm to ask the yes and no question. So that's another way of doing it if you want to be touching your pet and not using this way. But I still, you can be by yourself. You don't even have to be in the same room with your pet. You can ask the yes and no, connect with them. It's great when you're traveling and you want to connect with your pet and they hear you and you can get information from. So now going back to what we were talking about, say they're having something's going on, something isn't right with them, and they just had an accident. They piddled on your shoe, and it upset you. Of course, it's like, why'd you piddle on my shoe? Instead of getting upset, you can say, you can ask your animals. You take a few deep breaths and connect to them. Say their name a few times. Have I connected to you? Yes. Are you sad? Is that why you piddled on my shoe? Is there something that making you sad? And you might get a yes or no. Does your body move forward or backwards? If it's not sad, maybe are you confused about something? What would be some of the, I like to have a few kind of starter questions. And most of the questions that a pet will feel, again, I don't have as many big, lots of emotions. So you can kind of have a handful of them that you can ask. What would be another reason they would want that they're trying to get your attention to such an extent that they're going to piddle on your shoe? Maybe they're anxious about something. Oh, are you anxious about something? yes or no. And a lot of times it is confusion because something has changed in your house. That is really a common thing. Something has changed and they don't understand why something is different. And it's maybe you move their cat tree to a new location, even though you thought they will really love it because now they can look out a window and see more birds and squirrels playing and it'll be more entertainment for them. All they know is you moved my cat tree. Why did you move my cat tree? They're confused and they're upset because that's their space. How dare you move my cat tree? So here you're thinking you're doing them something nice and they're upset because they don't know why the heck you did what you did. So there's confusion and you go, well, what are you confused about? Then you can ask them, again, it may not be a yes or no question at that point, but you found out that they're confused. And you say, well, could you give me a sign of what you're confused about? And if you get a hit, an initial hit, maybe you'll see the cat tree. Maybe they'll actually act it out and they'll hop on the cat tree. But they'll do either they'll do something or you'll get a hit of some sort, a thought, a vision, something, whatever's that first hit, listen to that. Don't second guess it. Don't question it as, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm making that up. First hit is usually the accurate hit. Okay, if you don't get anything, that's okay. You might have to ask some more yes and no questions. But what's great about this is your animal's going, oh my God, you're talking my language now. Okay, you're commuting, you're not saying it out loud, you're thinking it to them. There's no, you don't have to use any verbal. As a matter of fact, I encourage you not to use verbal. Sometimes I will use a verbal outside my outside voice only to help me clarify what I'm thinking. But then I repeat it only from mind to mind. That's what they hear. If you're standing with your pet and you're saying words out loud, they may know one word. And then, when your dog kind of turns their head like this, what? Because they heard something cookie. Oh, cookie, I know that word. How do I get a cookie? And they're listening now to try and find another word that they might understand, but they're not listening to anything else. And chances are they're not going to understand any of the stuff that you're actually trying to communicate to them. So you want to just use your mind. If you're sending them a picture, you're thinking about what it looks like, what you're asking them to do, then they hear the whole thing as opposed to the one word that they do not understand in English. So think it to them. Think it to them what you're asking of them. So you're confused about something. Can you? And I'm thinking to them. I'm not saying it out loud. I'm saying it out loud to you, but I'm thinking it to them. Can you give me another clue of what is confusing you? And I will get. Chances are you will get a nice hit of something. Something with a cat tree. What about the cat tree? I put that there to make you be happy, to have fun. And you can think it to them then why you moved it. Oh, maybe you're confused on why the cat tree got moved. Oh, okay. So it's just puzzling it out. But that's more advanced in trying to puzzle it out. In the beginning, though, just ask simple yes or no questions and just watch your pet kind of go, oh my gosh, you're talking my language. The once in a blue moon, and I don't believe this will happen because your pets already trust you. If I've been around dogs that don't know me, and it's the first time they've heard me, a human, communicate to them intuitively, it unnerves them a little bit. But pets probably will be just fine and dandy with it. It is harder to communicate with your own. It's like kids, teenagers. Think about teenagers. How much do they listen to you? uh, they won't always listen. So that's why I do like to ask them up front, have I connected with you? Because when it's your own pet, sometimes they'll say, no, I'm not interested in talking to you now. And that happens all the time when I go out and try to communicate with my alpacas. I'm working on a new technique or something and I want to practice on them. They don't want to hear me. They go, no, I'm busy. I'm crazy. Go away. So, but you can ask the yes and no question. And I do that. It's also just a form of politeness to me when instead of just barging in and start talking to them, it's nice to ask. It's kind of like when you answer the phone, you don't just say, I need you to do da 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 da, right? You say, oh, hi, so and so, how are you? There's a little communication ahead of time to get the relationship going, that you're engaged with each other. We're listening. So just asking them yes and no, have I connected with you? Can I connect with you? That's a really good starter. And it's just good practice to learn, get comfortable with that sway. And then just using your day-to-day stuff on seeing what they like or don't like. You can ask them, are you hungry now? Some of them are always hungry, but you can get a yes or no answer from that. Okay, so what else can you do? Well, this is what your our standard information. First thing we always do, whether you're trying to communicate with them with that nice little sway test, you really have to breathe. If you're not connected with them, you don't get a yes or no. Just again, maybe you need to get get a little more breathing going. They aren't going to hear, you're not going to hear them, and they're not going to hear you if you're breathing really shallow and you haven't fully grounded yourself and the flow isn't going. So just kind of shake it off, really get the your feet firmly planted on the ground, bend your knees slightly and get that oxygen flowing throughout your system. And if you really need to, you can breathe like we do on our healing circle, breathe in and do some gratitudes first. Just get that energy flowing. If you're anxious, you're sending out that anxiety energy. And most pets don't want to listen to you if you're anxious, or unless they're trying to help you. But if you're trying to connect and really communicate with them, then it's really nice to send them a higher frequency, love or above. So you can, that's a perfect one right there. Just tune yourself to love. Oh, I love connecting with you in a deeper way. Breathe in, and I just love you. I just love you so much. Think of that. Now ask them, can I connect with you? And chances are you'll get a yes, because now you're sending love energy to them. They're feeling that. That feels so much nicer to connect with than if you're anxious about something. So the other thing you can do for them is, if for either of you, if you're having a rough day, or if they're having a rough day of some sort, s- tune everything else out for a couple minutes, 2 to 5 minutes. Don't answer your phone, don't listen to the text, turn off the TV, mute it all, whatever. Just be one-on-one with your animal. Just be totally focused in on them for 2 to 5 minutes and do that gentle breathing. Do tune to love again, tell them how much you love them, think it to them even more than just saying it out loud. Do both, but and then doing really gentle petting with them. You'll find that it quite often will give you eye contact. Give them that direct eye contact back, smiling, just looking. That's when you can really see deep into their soul, is when they're in that space of connection, deep connection. And when you're doing that, it helps your own anxiety calm down, because now you're pouring that love chemical into your body versus the anxiety chemical. So that's calming down your own anxiety, and you're rippling out the love energy instead. And if your pet is anxious, the same thing. It's helping calm their anxiety down, because the love energy is so much, it feels so much better than the anxiety energy. So you can help both of you. Also, it helps your pet from absorbing. If you are anxious, it helps you calm down by petting them without having dumping and having them be a sponge absorbing that anxiety energy. We don't want to put that into them. So you can instead pour the love energy into them, which is helping versus the anxiety. So it's helping both of you. It's helping them, and they're helping you without taking on the anxiety. So there's a big difference there. So do try that at home, because it's really wonderful, and it just deepens your bond that is already deep, but it'll take you to even a deeper level, a more special level, by doing that with your pet. And you don't have to spend hours trying to do it. It just takes a couple minutes. I do it several times a day if I can with each of my guys. So, so look for eye contacts. A lot of times they give you a gentle kiss. That is a response that says, "Oh, I heard you've heard me, or I've heard you." That's their little thank you. It's different than the slurpy kiss. It's just very gentle. Or they may touch you with their nose a little bit. Um, my dogs like to put their paw on my arm when they're in that connection. They want to be that connected with me that they want their paw on me as well. But they also really look at deep into my, and it's just a soft, gentle look in their eye. It's very different than when they're in a playful mood or sleepy mood or not non-connected energy. It's very different. So I encourage you to try that and experience it. All right, so if you need help with your pet and I've never worked with you before, I encourage you to try my starter package. It includes a 45-minute phone consult where we go over all the issues that you might be experiencing with your pet, really get into the issue, both if it's a physical and emotional issue. We'll clear trapped emotions, balance their energy, communicate to them any information that they need to know, and vice versa, anything that they might want to communicate to you. And then some coaching tips or other referrals that I may have for you. I'm happy to share any referral information with you. And it also includes a 50-minute follow-up session that we get to use, depending on the issue, anywhere from a few days or a day later to a couple weeks or even a month later. It's just important to use that to continue the healing or behavioral change modification that they might need, that threshold that I was talking about. We want to keep the trapped emotions under that threshold. So that 15-minute gives us an idea of where we're at with that threshold and helping us get it below and keep it below that threshold so they can continue healing. Okay. So future events. No healing circle this Saturday, day off for me. But next Wednesday, same time as the webinar, 6 p.m. Pacific time, we'll just have a healing circle, no webinar. And then the following week from Saturday, we will have a healing circle. And then October 5th is the human version of intuitive listening webinar at 6 p.m. And then also I've started teaching an introduction to animal communication class hosted by Jen Weigel. And the next one is actually sold out. So we just added this date today, actually, for December 3rd to do another one. So those are a lot of fun. They're on Zoom, so people can come in. We use my animals to practice on. And then that technique that I just shared with you, I will work with you one-on-one on how to do it. So if you try it and you still can't quite get it right, this is a great class. We get you started and helping you learn how to do some of those techniques. And then we also have some a follow-up, more advanced classes starting up as well. But you do have to attend the intro first. And so those are not on the calendar yet, but we are starting to do some follow-up classes because they're such a fun, good response, and people want to keep learning and growing. So that's been a really fun collaboration with Jen Weigel. So if you'd like to find out more information and get on her list to know when these events are coming up or how to sign up for them, you do sign up through her site, not through mine. You can go to her website, jenweigel.com. All righty. So, all right, we'll stop sharing that. Cool. Alrighty, Sonia, I think you're the only one that sent a picture of an animal unless somebody sent it while I was online. You sent me 4 pictures. Do you have a preference of which one you'd like to work on, Sonia? I don't know if you can unmute or if you want to put it in the chat box. But I have 4 pictures that you sent.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. Yeah, I'm having a problem with Rusty the Cavapoo. All of a sudden, he started peeing in the house. He started peeing in the cat's litter box,
Oh,
which I found odd.
well,
And I was tolerating that, but now he seems to be going in other places, which I'm having a difficult time with.
which one? The one in the back?
No, the Cavapoo with the long hair.
Oh, in the front. Okay. So Rusty is having pieces in the house, and
Yeah, he started peeing in the cat litter box
that one
when
doesn't
I figured.
surprise me as much because it has the scent. And so it has probably the scent of urine, and so a dog will go where they smell urine or poop.
Yeah, and I was putting up with that, and I made barriers so it wouldn't go on the walls and or furniture. But now he's starting to hit other areas in the house, and I'm not too happy about that. And I talked to him, but he just seems to be defiant.
Well, let's not necessarily put that kind of language on it. He's trying to get your attention about something that's probably not the. So let's see what we can clear and see if that can help.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's not that they're trying to be bad. It's just that something is going on that's upsetting them and they just are trying to get our attention and we're not getting. And it's not our fault because we don't speak their language and they don't speak ours.
Yeah, I know he's jealous of the cats because when the cats come and lay next to me, he wants to cuddle too. And I give them both attention, but, he doesn't like that. He's jealous.
Okay, so that could be part of it there. So when that happens, then you can tell him how much you love him, and I will communicate it as well. I'll release the jealousy. Let's release that. But and communicate to him that you love them all your animals. And that's one thing about love is that there's an abundance of it. There's not a limited amount of love to go around. It can just keep expanding and growing and growing and growing. So there's plenty of love for everybody in the house.
Yeah, no, I keep telling him that. And I mean, there's 5 of them.
Yep. So we'll just
They take turns.
okay. So I'm just letting him know. He might just want some one-on-one time. Um,
Yeah, I know I have to do things with him, but I've been so busy, yada, yada. So I have to definitely make more time.
Right. And that's part of it is, he's craving some one-on-one time. And when we get busy like that, we don't always have time. But remember, it doesn't have to be like taking them out for a long outing or a long walk. It can be that 2 to 5 minute thing that I was just talking about. Then
Yeah, yeah.
just petting him gently, pouring that love into him. That counts for taking him out for a long walk. Okay, that 2 minutes of petting. It is very, very powerful pouring that love into him. So I encourage you to try that with him.
Yeah,
Um,
I have to do more because I usually take them in the car with me, but it's too hot to put them in the car now. I have to wait until it cools down. I'm in Florida
right. And
and
so part of
it's
it,
just hot.
places where he would get that time with you, it's not happening because valid reasons. So then you can alternate and use that 2 minute technique. Okay,
Yeah,
the other things, do the 2 minute technique. Okay.
yeah, okay. I just have to do more because I know George is jealous too when she's getting up there in age. That's the dog behind him,
Mhm.
but she seems to be a little bit more tolerant. She won't even go out unless I go out with her.
Okay.
And sometimes she's getting very clingy.
Yeah. They're just sending her some gentle energy,
Yeah.
some
They're my guy.
frustration. And some pride, releasing that, and some sadness, clearing that. There's a nice shift. So see if that doesn't improve some of the potty stuff, and I'm gonna remind her that she needs to go potty outside.
He knows he's not supposed to do it, but sure
Yeah.
enough, he does. And he does it right in front of me. And I mean, unless I catch him, there's really not much I can do about it, you know?
Yeah, and that when they do that in front of you, it's because they really are trying to communicate something to you. They're frustrated. So let's release because they've been trying to communicate to you stuff that's going on with them. And again, we just don't get it, or we do get it, and the answer is just, I don't have time right now.
Yeah,
The answer
life happens, you
is,
know?
but again, then do the 2 to 5 minutes, not necessarily right then when they're begging for it or whatever. But I would communicate to them, I will spend a little time with you, but not the second, okay? And if you give them your word on something, then it's important that you do it. So,
I know, no, and I've been very guilty of that because something always comes up or I just pass out with exhaustion.
yeah, well, we can only do the best we can with things. So
Yeah.
best with that. It will buy you a lot. It's like putting a whole bunch of money in a bank account when you do that.
Yeah.
And that can really help calm down issues like that. All
Yeah.
righty.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anybody else with any questions or on our technique or? All righty. So I'm gonna go ahead and